linear time invariant systems and signals. They are the two topics. First we study about systems and then we will study about the signals. Okay. So in this, the first one will be, the main heading of this topic is system and its classification. First, a system definition. What does a system mean? Okay. So system definition has got different definition when we talk about a system in different contexts. Okay. Physical definition of system is different, mathematical definition of system is different. Okay. So first we'll see the physical definition. Okay. Physical definition says that it is an arrangement of some physical elements which produces the expected output with the available input. Okay, that means consider some box in which input is given as an xt. Okay, output is yt. Let the impulse response of the system is ht. Okay, then we can say that it is an arrangement of physical elements which produces expected output. Okay, this is one definition of the system. Now, what is an impulse response? In this, ht is nothing but impulse response. But what is impulse response? See, presently, I'll define impulse response as something like whenever the input to a system is an impulse, whatever the output I am getting, that is an impulse response. Okay, so I can say output of a system with respect to impulsed input. Okay, this is a impulse response. So whatever the output I am getting, that is called an impulse response. Second definition, I will tell about the mathematical definition. Mathematical also we can write any system. We have seen certain equations consisting of resistance, inductance and capacitance for series RLC circuit. Series RLC circuit is also a system. Okay. In mathematics, the operators which used to define the system, they are integro, that means integro differential equations. Of input and output. Okay. For example, we will see one example. Consists of a series RLC circuit. Input applied at this point is Vt, current flowing is I. Okay. For this, I can write the equation using Kirchhoff's law. Vt equals to, let this be R, this be L, and this be C. Ri plus L di by dt plus 1 by C integral of I dt. Okay. It can also be represented as dVt by dt equals to R di by dt plus L d square I by dt square plus 1 by C I. Okay. This equation contains integration as well as differentiation, but this equation contains all differentiation. Okay. So we can convert, these are interchangeable. Okay. So I can say any nth order differential equation of inputs and outputs is for continuous time. Whereas any nth order difference equation of input and output is for discrete time. Okay. So this is a one kind of mathematical definition or defining any system. Now third case. We can also define a system using a transfer function. Okay. So how this transfer function has come across? See, we will see. We know, or I'll just tell you before explaining more on this, the output yt can be represented by a system function ht convolved with input xt. This operator is called convolution operator. We will see more about convolution in the upcoming topics. Okay. So in terms of Laplace transform, I can represent yt as ys, I can represent ht as ss. Now convolution in time domain goes to multiplication in s domain. So it will become ys equals to hs into xs. Now I can write hs as hs equals to ys upon xs. This is a transfer function for the system. Okay. We can define the system by three methods. First is physically, then mathematically, and then by using a transfer function. So mathematically and transfer function, they are both are related to each other, because finally this is also a part of mathematics. Okay, we have come down from convolution to multiplication by making use of Laplace transform in continuous time domain. Suppose in discrete time domain we can make use of Z transform. Okay. Now we will see the classification of systems. The topic is how the systems are classified. The first classification among the system is linear and non-linear system. See, this is a very important topic. Generally the question comes to find whether a given system is linear or non-linear, or to find whether a given system is time variant or time invariant, we will see all those different types of classification. Okay. For linear and non-linear, the condition is if I have one system which is on giving input xt, it gives me output yt, and on giving input x2t, it gives me output, I'll write here y1t, and this is y2t. Then ax1t plus bx2t is equal, gives me output a y1t plus b by 2t. Okay, this is a general condition for linear system. Okay, now when a system is linear, it follows both principle of homogeneity and principle of superposition. That means if any system satisfies both these conditions, then it becomes a linear. Okay, so what is principle of homogeneity? Principle of homogeneity says that if a input is given to a system, it gives me output yt, then kxt gives me output kyt. This is principle of homogeneity. Now, what is principle of superposition? Principle of superposition, it says that if x1t gives me output y1t, x2t gives me output y2t, then x1t plus x2t gives me output y1t plus y2t. The basic difference between the principle of superposition and principle of homogeneity is principle of superposition is addition of different signals, while principle of homogeneity is addition of same signals. So I can say addition of same signal is homogeneity. Addition of different signals is superposition. Okay, so this is the thing. Now we will see certain examples of a linear system. Yt is equal to 8 cos t xt. This is example of linear. Yt is equal to 8 cos xt dot t. This is non-linear. Okay. Next category of systems is time variant and time invariant. A system is said to be time invariant if input and output are not related by a function of time. Okay, that means input and output are independent with respect to the function of time. That means if yt equal to xt, time invariant. Yt equals to 4t xt. This is time variant. Okay. The other thing for time invariant and time variant is If shift, a time shift in the input will produce the same time shift in the output also. Okay, this is a general, this is a very basic definition of time invariant. Okay, I can write time shift in input will get same time shift in output. Okay, this is the definition. How to calculate the whether a given system is time variant or time invariant is calculate the output by shifting the input alone, and calculate the output by shifting the entire system. If both the outputs are same, then the system is time invariant. Otherwise, system is non-time variant. Okay. For this above said example, I can write it as yt equals to xt. Why it is time variant? Because if I shift xt by t naught to left, it becomes x of t minus t naught. Okay. Then shift yt by t naught to left will give me y of t minus t naught. This is again something related to x of t minus t naught. Then thus there is a same shift whether we shift the input or whether we shift the output. So at both that, if outputs are same in both the case. But if we take a case of, I'll write here case 1, case 2. If we take a case of yt equals to 4t xt, then on shifting xt, on shifting input by t, I will have y1t equals to 4t x of t minus t naught. On shifting a system, full system, I will get some output y2t. Since I am shifting the full system, I can write y of t minus t naught, x of t minus t naught. Let this be equation number 1, let this be equation number 2. We can easily find that 1 is not equal to 2. Thus, it is time variant. Okay, so this is a method of finding the time variant or time invariant. Third case will be static and dynamic system. Okay, static. If input and output depends on same time, yes, we are saying input and output depends on same time interval, it is called static system. Else dynamic. For example, if I say yt equal to sine xt, that means it is a static. Okay. If I say yt equals to 6xt plus 4x of t minus 2 plus 2x of t plus 1, this is dynamic. Okay. A moving average system is an example of dynamic system. Okay. The fourth category in this is very important one, causal system. Generally, there is a lot of confusion when the term causal comes to the mind of the student. Now, to be explained very clearly, a causal system is a normal system. That means if input is given to the system, then only the output will come. Okay. If input is not there, output will not come. That means a system cannot predict the output before knowing the input. If it can do so, that means it is an anti-causal system. Anti-causal means generally it will call a anticipative nature of the system. System can anticipate the values, system can anticipate the output before knowing the input. Okay, practically such systems are not possible. Okay, so that's why for any system to be physically realizable, it needs that system to be stable and also it causal. Okay, so for causal, if I write, if output of a system depends on past and oblique, or it may depend on past and present both, or it may depend only on past or only on present. Input only, then it is a causal system. Otherwise, non-causal. Okay, so example, if I write yt equals to xt plus x of t minus 2, causal. Yt equals to xt plus x of t minus 2 plus x of t plus 2, non-causal. Okay, we can also say for any system, if ht or hn is equal to 0 for t lesser than 0 or n lesser than 0. Okay, this is for this case, this is for this case. Okay, if these two things are there, that means system is a causal system. This is for continuous time, this is for discrete time. Okay, another classification for system is stable and unstable. If its output of a system is bounded for a bounded input, then it is called a stable system. It's simple. Bounded output for bounded input gives a causal system. Oh, sorry, stable system. That means minus infinity to infinity xt dt should be lesser than infinite. It gives a bounded output. That means input is bounded here. Example for stable and unstable system is, suppose I have some discrete time system yn in which input and output are related by k tending to minus infinity to infinity x of n minus k. It can be unstable system. Even if signal xn is bounded, but yn can become unbounded. Okay. Another example, yn equals to 1 upon m1 plus m2 summation k tending to minus 1 upon m1 to m2 x of n minus k. This is a stable system. Why so? If xn is bounded, Yn is also bounded because of finite sum. Okay, so things are clear. If the output is bounded, if the input is bounded, system is stable system. If input is given unbounded, then output, there are lot of chances that output will become unbounded also. Okay, then systems are generally, then we don't consider, then we don't think about stability and instability of system. We say stable and unstable system only when the input is bounded. Okay, another sixth system is invertible system. Okay, a system is said to be invertible if output becomes invertible. That means if you give input xt to some system h1t, it gives the output yt. And when this output is given to some system with impulse response h2t and you get back the input xt, then h1t and h2t are invertible. Okay, we can say that transfer function h1s is 1 upon h2s. They are just reciprocal of each other. Okay, we will see now the properties for LTI system. First one, commutative property. This property helps in simplifying the system. Okay, sometimes it happens the system contains certain blocks and in parallel and in series, this properties will help in simplifying those. Yn equals to Hn xn, or Yn can be written as xn first convolve with Hn. They both will give the same result. This is what the commutative property says. Okay. Other way of understanding this is, if I have certain system with impulse response Hn and if I give input as xn, the output will be yn. Now if I make another system with impulse response same as xn and input as the hn, which is nothing but the impulse response for this system, again I am going to the output as yn. That means here both are same. So interchanging the order in impulse response of the input and input signal xn, while finding the convolution, we will get the same output yn. Okay, same thing I have described for the discrete time system, but it is equally true for continuous time system also. Second one is distributive property. Okay, yn is equal to xn convolve with h1n plus h2n. Then I can write yn also equals to convolve with h1n plus xn convolve with h2n. That means if two blocks are connected in parallel, then and the output of the each block is getting summed up, then I can find equivalent block which is equals to H1n plus H2n. That means when systems are connected in parallel, I can add both the impulse response of the system to get the overall impulse response. Third property, it is associative property. Yn is equal to xn convolved with h1n convolved with h2n. This is also equal to xn convolved with h1n convolved with h2n. Okay, that means if two systems are connected in cascade in series, then I can find an equivalent system Hn, which is nothing but the convolution of H1n and H2n. The things will remain same. Okay, so we have seen for the parallel system, we have seen for the series system. When their system are series, I can write summary. When series, convolution. When parallel, at that time, addition. Okay, so this in small describes about the system, various classification of system and the properties of system. Okay.